Hi, my name is Carrie Smizer, and I am here to do my final video conclusion for our biopsycho eval on a child. I had the pleasure of working with a 27-month-old female DS, and some implications that I learned from working with her, and that I believe social workers will come across in the field on probably a consistent basis, is wanting to avoid the stigma on a personal level or within their families or social groups and peers that they are around and working with a social worker, because parents can often feel that maybe by admitting that they are wrong or needing further intervention or possibly asking a pediatrician for help, or in our case working with a social worker, means that it is an attack on their personal confidence or credibility, I guess, as a parent. Examples that I experienced in working with the family slash child that I did is the child struggled with or struggles with sleep on a consistent basis and refused naps. And as a 27-month-old, we know that this can cause stress within the family. It can cause further behavior issues with a child, and not wanting to really openly admit that there was an issue. And I picked this up by listening to their verbal and nonverbal cues that the parents were giving off. And when I was asking questions on the ASQ about behavioral and health problems and ongoing things, that there was a roundabout way that they expressed these concerns, but kind of wanted to backpedal over them. And it seemed to me, and I'm sure a lot of, again, social workers will experience this in the field, is there's a strong desire for parents to make their child want to be perfect. And in the family that I interviewed, DS seems like she has a positive parental and family structure going on. However, the strong desire to come off to everybody else as being perfect or there's nothing wrong seems to be kind of a theme within the family. And when I was thinking about the ASQ and working with different populations, I went on the website for the Ages and Stages, which is obviously what that was. And according to their website, it provides a reliable, accurate developmental, social, emotional screening for birth to 6 years. And the ASQ is designed to pinpoint developmental progress and catch delays in children. And as a social worker, I think that this could be very helpful in helping us decide if there's further intervention that may need, or sometimes it may just show different areas that we need to monitor as a social worker when we're working with these children. And each of these is going to be different in each of the demographics that we obviously work with. For me, I want to work with victims or offenders. So child development, like the ASQ, probably will not apply to me personally, but if I'm working with a parent who has children and that becomes part of the target area that we are working on, then obviously this would be useful information. What I think I did like about the ASQ is that it was simple. People seemed like they could use it at their home, their office. There seemed to be many different settings that they could apply this assessment. And looking at the website, I found it interesting to learn that it's available in Spanish, English, French, Somali, and Hmong. So I think that that is also kind of essential to point out. And in this process, I learned to ask questions in different context or different order. That when administering the ASQ, you can combine a couple of the questions in different areas that kind of could shorten down the ASQ, even though it's a pretty short assessment anyway. But when working with a 27-month-old, their attention span is minimal. So I was able to kind of look over it ahead of time and combine this 3 or 4 of the questions kind of together. And she was able to, at least with the child I was working with, able to process them in multi-steps, but put all in one, which I know that that's not always the case, but in some cases it could be very essential to shorten down the process in doing such an assessment. I also learned, as I said earlier, to pay attention to the verbal and nonverbal cues of the parents. Because even though you're working with the child or interviewing them, they still will have nonverbal cues that they are putting between themselves, or where they try to intervene and kind of gesture to a child or kind of imply something. So just really being in tune with the parents when you're working with the child is important, so you don't get the cues mixed up or a child is not led to do something that they weren't originally going to do. Um, so I think that was a couple key points that I learned in this process. Thanks.